your mother? It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just a trio of feathery brethren weathering any season to see the Eagles eating teams like Scrammy's top with cheese. It's Philadelphia. Bo, Sheil, and Zach kicking it cooler than 3 penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some
Birds with Friends.
The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some
Birds with Friends.
Bo, Sheil, and Zach coming at you with stats and things, flapping their wings.
Statistics, they can be like bathing suits. What they, what.
Finish it up. Sometimes you gotta take them off.
What the hell?
What they show is revealing, but what they conceal is vital, right? So.
Hello, everybody. Sheil with Birds with Friends. If you're wondering why I am doing the intro, it's because today is roster cutdown day. And we know that is in Bo's wheelhouse, that is in Zach's wheelhouse, that is not in my wheelhouse. So I will be playing the role of, let's say, like an Andre Miller. I'll be setting you up. I'll be using
post-game.
the big caboose to back some people down. And we will get to that. We will go position by position for the entire Eagles roster. Bo and Zach will be naming names. I will be playing a game of it. Is this a real person? Is this not a real person? Did this person actually make the team? So we will get to all of that. But I, of course, don't care how Bo is doing or how Zach is doing. But I do care how the Marissa Morris household is doing.
Hey, baby!
Today, the big news of the day.
Yes.
Thank you.
From Cleveland, Ohio, Michael Dunn. Number 68. You can go to their website right
Number
now.
one
and
in your
just
hearts.
reading the article. ClevelandBrowns.com. Leading the site. You scroll down. You look. All right. Offensive line. 7th guy listed. I'll maybe send a note. Let's get that moved up there in the offensive line. But makes the 53 out of camp for the first time in his career. Marissa Morris. What has the Dunn Morris household been like today, and how does it feel?
It's pretty amazing. 5 camps, and this is his first time making the 53. He had he signed to the 53 at the end of last season, and obviously played in the playoff game. But going through camp is tough, and there's a lot of talented players that don't make rosters. And he's been cut. He's felt like that feeling of getting the call on cutdown day that everybody dreads. So to have this accomplishment is. Bo still has access to these things that he clicks
It's
things
true.
on the screen.
It's like a bottom line of truth. It says, was there ever a down? He's the best O-lineman in the league.
Well, thanks to Owen for that comment. But what were you saying, Zach?
I was thinking about you guys a lot today, and I thought Bo's story did a really good job humanizing it. But as reporters on this day, I understand it's the nature of the job. Everyone who signs up for the NFL or has an NFL contract knows this day is coming, but you really see the human element of it when we interact with you all the time. Like the angst that's associated. It's not just a tweet about, this player was cut and this player was retained. There's so much that goes into it. So I think being on this podcast with you has really humanized that experience.
Well, it's actually pretty funny because so he was at the facility today, and he hadn't gotten a call, so we were thinking good news, but I found out it was official by Twitter. He didn't have his phone. Oh so I'm waiting to go to the grocery store, and I can't get off my phone, and I'm refreshing the feed constantly, searching #Browns on Twitter, and it finally came out. My heart,
They let their roster out early.
Yeah, thank God, because I don't think I could have done another hour of that.
I think that was clearly a favor to Birds with Friends and
yes.
Birds with Friends listeners. I mean, I think
Definitely.
the only team in the NFL who just, what time was it?
It was
It was
2
noon.
something.
Oh, yeah.
2 o'clock, they're just here's our whole 53-man roster. I mean, come on, nobody does that. That had to be a nod.
They should have just tweeted, "He made it, guys."
But yeah, I mean, he's worked so hard, and it's just unbelievable to see, how he's never given up, and I'm very, very proud of him. So
is he being emotional in the room with you? Is he
so
is he rolling his eyes?
He is actually in the room with me, but he is on his phone, and I told him to go in the other room so he could watch this, because there's a lot of exciting things on this show today that he's going to want to hear about. So
what Marissa
well,
means is he's studying the playbook.
right.
Andrew, Kevin, if you're listening, he's
Yes.
working on those
And we know you are.
pass sets.
Yes.
Making sure he's ready so
he
that when his
watches
number
so
is
much.
called.
Yes, he watches so much film. I watch so much film with him because it's like it's always on his iPad. But I feel like, that's just a testament to all the hard work he's put in, and I'm very happy for him. And I'm happy that, the Browns believed in him last year, and, he's had great coaching, great teammates. So excited to see what the rest of the year holds.
5 years, like all these different trials and tribulations, 3 different leagues, all these different teams, cut so many times. He finally makes the week 1 roster. And yet tomorrow is going to be an even bigger day in his life than today. Is that correct?
Yeah. Everyone, like, you make the roster. I mean, and especially I saw a good tweet this year, like, you never know, like, because there's an extra week of camp, or not of camp, camp's over, but there's an extra week between now and the start of the season because there's not that 4th preseason game. So there's going to be a lot of roster shuffling, obviously, between now and the start of the season. But
I was talking about something else. There's a new purchase that's even more important than him making the roster. Is that fair?
Yeah.
For those of you who read the story.
So those of you who read this story, so we are in a furnished apartment, and the one room had a queen bed and the other room had 2 twin beds. So that was not going to cut it because he's an offensive lineman, and just we could not fit in a queen bed.
He's a big, strong, powerful man.
So we combined the queen bed with the twin bed and made like a mega bed. And tomorrow we are officially getting a king size bed. So it is very exciting. Yes. Someone is coming to install it so he doesn't have to do it.
Oh, yeah. He can't be doing that.
Yeah, come on.
That's impossible. I liked that. That was Marissa getting a taste of what it's like to be Zach and I, where Bo is referencing something. You have no idea where he's going with it, what he's talking about. You try to play along, but then you move on. Well, of course.
Also, she might not want that to be public consumption either,
yeah,
right?
I don't care. I don't care. Yeah.
But this is just the prologue, right? Like Bo's story is just a prologue. This story is just beginning. So this by no means is the high water mark.
And we will be following along closely. Tracer Bullet.
Tracer Bullet had a great comment in the chat. Michael Dunn snuggler? Question mark.
Sources say yes.
Well, I want to thank everybody for all of the kind words, because it really is, really nice, like this, Birds with Friends community and everyone being so nice, and it's greatly appreciated. So now let's get to the Eagles roster. Come on, there's a lot to talk about.
We'll have to decide whether he's the official offensive lineman of Birds with Friends, the official AFC North offense, the official Cleveland Brown, the official NFL player. I mean, we will get to that. We have a long way to go, like Zach said. There will be many more chapters to be written. All right, you can get your congratulations in there in the comments. I guess we have to talk about the Eagles. Of course, this is a letdown after the exciting open there, but we will go position by position. It was not the most exciting roster formulation day. I don't know that there were any huge surprises, but there's always some notes. I'm sure there will be something that Bo will find a way to get irrationally upset, angry about. He's got one. There you go. And of course, Z-Berm will give us the nuts and bolts on everything. So I say we just get started. Let's start with the quarterbacks, because we have not had a Birds with Friends since the Eagles pulled the trigger on a blockbuster, baby. 6th round pick, right? 6th round pick?
Conditional 6th.
Conditional 6th. Could be a 5th.
5th if he plays more than 50% of the snaps in 3 games this year.
Gardner Minshew. So what do we think? What do we think about this move? What it says about the team? Does it say anything? Was it a wise use of resources? Bo, you look like you got some stuff to say. Why don't we start with you?
Well, I thought it was interesting, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say about Minshew, because you have probably watched him more than we have. But the most interesting thing to me was how low the price was. I mean, to me, he seems like a guy who you would be very happy to have as your number 2. I mean, he was a like slightly below average starting quarterback for like 14 games over the course of 2 seasons. That's pretty good for a backup quarterback. He's on a rookie deal for the next 2 seasons. So there were two things that made it interesting to me. One is I'm surprised that was the best offer, that there weren't other teams who were more interested in him. And two, it sort of made me think about the Eagles' drafting of Clayton Thorson and the reasoning for drafting Jalen Hurts. Because, like, if you think about it, like on the night that Jalen Hurts was drafted, if Jalen Hurts turned out to be Gardner Minshew, like that would have been a good result, right? Like a very good backup on a cheap rookie deal. And yet
that was their reasoning for drafting him. They said,
right.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying. And and their whole reasoning for that was because how important the backup quarterback position is. And yet he was available for anybody to trade, and the market value was a 5th/6th. So I don't know if that means there's, Minshew is worse than we think he is, or it's like the valuing of the way that the Eagles value the backup quarterback position is way off from the rest of the league.
Zebra.
So I thought it was a good move, right? For the reasons that
I agree.
you guys said, to get that type of player for that price. And the key too is that he's under contract for 2022. So no matter who the starter is next year, whether it's Jalen Hurts, whether it's someone else, there's a faction of people who think it might be Gardner Minshew. But assuming it's not Minshew, he's a very affordable backup quarterback next year. I know there's the natural question is, well, like, why even have Joe Flacco? Why didn't they just do this in the spring? I doubt this was available in the spring. I don't read much Jags coverage, but the Jags coverage I was reading suggested that Urban Meyer really wanted to have this, like, he wanted to have someone push.
He was throwing away reps,
right?
just throwing away.
He could have brought Bo down and said Bo is going to compete.
Sure.
It was a sham from the get-go. So I don't know
but
that he needed someone at a certain level.
I don't
no disrespect, Bo. Yeah.
So anyways, the trade makes sense. Nick Sirianni said today that he starts off as the number 3 quarterback. Minshew, known to be a competitive guy, was said to not be happy being the backup, right? Well, I can't imagine he's going to be enthused being.
He wasn't going to drop a deuce all summer
yes,
because
exactly.
he didn't want to be number 2.
I can't imagine he's enthused being the 3rd, but in theory, there's a clearer path to a potential starting job here than there is in most situations.
Yeah, so I think on the surface it's a perfectly fine move, a perfectly fine use of resources, which I tweeted out, and just the BWF Army firing back #resources. So I'm glad that is still alive. It's like Bo said. It's the reason why. Not to go back on the Joe Flacco signing, it's the reason why you did not need to make that move when you did for that money. Mm-hmm. It's really the reason why we were critical of the Jalen Hurts pick at the time, because they were draft. Remember, now you can look at it and say, well, we'll look at it now. Now they have a starting quarterback. Maybe he'll be good. And that, that is certainly fair. That's not why they made the move. They did not think Carson Wentz was going to be off the roster in a year. They drafted Jalen Hurts because they wanted a inexpensive backup quarterback, which is a bad use of resources when they thought they were going to be a competitive team at the time with the starter that they had. So it's just like, there are other avenues to explore this. I believe I didn't see it, but Howie Roseman made the quarterback factory joke today, right? I don't like giving an organization credit for like being like, oh, they value the quarterback position. You know what? Every organization in the NFL, every organization values the quarterback position. Now, I would say they do take more flyers on these types of guys, to Bo's point. Anyone could have had him for this price, and maybe the Jags just did a bad job. Maybe Dave Caldwell, who is with the Eagles now, just called the Jags at the right time and said, here's what we'll give you. I don't think we should be giving the Jaguars a lot of credit for really exploring the entire trade market and knowing how to leverage the situation or anything like that. But I think it's a fine move. Now, it is interesting on a few different levels here, because if you do believe Nick Sirianni and the competition thing, then you would think that he would at least get to compete for the backup role. And, we don't know that that's going to be the case or not. And then the other thing is, this is a part I do like, is that they're not worried about hurt feelings or how is this going to affect a Jalen Hurts or a Joe Flacco. And that I like, because there was way too much of that during the Carson Wentz era. I mean, they don't make this move if Carson Wentz is the starter, right? They probably would be like, wait a minute, did you see what he said when he was competing with Trevor Lawrence? Like, I don't know. And NFL teams do think like this with the backup. Like, there are organizations who think we want that backup's job is to support the starter. Like, be the guy with the tablet on the sideline, or the guy he can talk to if he can't go to the OC or the quarterback's coach. And yeah, right. Yeah, that type of model, right? The teammate, the locker room. And then there are others who would just say, let's just get the best players and see what happens. Now, it depends if you have an entrenched starter or don't have an entrenched starter. They obviously do not. They're giving Hurts a shot here. But I do prefer just bring in the guys who you think have a shot and see what happens. Now, statistically, my opinion of Minshew, I think he could be like a competent starter. I don't know that there's like, any type of big upside with him. I think
that's great.
Yeah, that's great.
Right.
For the price. And he was certainly not in a great situation in Jacksonville, and he performed like a below average starter, but not a train wreck if you look at it. I know some of the traditional numbers are very good on him. If you look at some of the advanced stuff, whether it's QBR, EPA per play, he was probably more like the 25th, 26th, 27th best starter in the NFL. But again, that's perfectly fine for the price you paid. So he's added to the mix, and I think it's a fine move. If nothing else, you have a backup quarterback for 2022 for the price of a 5th or 6th round pick, and that's great value.
Do you think, Howie mentioned it today as part of the deal, like the COVID policies? There's a chance you lose a guy. Do you think that moved the needle for them at all? I think they make the deal regardless.
Yes. Yeah,
sorry, I was reading a comment that this guy said he hopes this episode is a remarkable one because he got stood up on a booty call.
Yeah, big flex.
Is that a big flex by him? And it feels sort of like a first for Birds with Friends. I can't imagine this is a scenario that's played out a lot for.
Yeah, I'm not so sure our listeners are getting that many booty calls.
Perhaps he told her. Perhaps he told her, "Look, come over and watch Birds with Friends," and that was the reason why the booty call was canceled.
She started watching. And she's like, you know what? I don't want to meet up. I got to sit here and watch the rest of this.
I was gonna say she, looked on Twitter and said, "Oh, I didn't realize there was a live pod at 8," and said, let's do this another night or in about 3 hours once the episode's over. Yeah, so if you have a shared experience, go ahead and keep it clean, and you can mention it in the comments.
Hashtag BWF booty call. I was thinking about it. I
thought we were going to go Sheil spot still there for that one. All right. That's anything else on the quarterback position? Did you find it notable that they named Jalen Hurts the starting quarterback?
Well, I want to ask you guys this, and I put this in. I put this in the story. How much do you think the hesitance to name Jalen Hurts the starter was a reaction to like the debriefing of everything that went wrong with Carson Wentz and coddling him too much and giving him things too early and potentially like an overreaction? They didn't want to give the keys to the franchise to some young guy, so early on.
I don't believe it was a reaction to that, to be honest with you. I think there were a few factors here. First off, I believe Nick Sirianni wanted to emphasize competition and probably felt it would be disingenuous, for lack of a better term, to anoint a starter who hasn't been your starter before, right? Without he wanted that manufactured competition, even though, like he said today, Hurts has taken every first team snap, right?
Right. And he said that on the first day of training camp, that was the expectation.
And then the second factor here is that I do think there was a period of time when they didn't know the direction they were going in quarterback, right? Like if they put all their eggs behind Jalen Hurts and they traded for another player, be it Deshaun Watson or be it somebody else, how does that go over, right? I do think they wanted to leave that somewhat ambiguous, and it did become, I don't know if I would say clear, but it became more apparent over time that Jalen Hurts was going to be the quarterback here this season.
Yeah, I agree with Zach. I don't think it has anything to do with Wentz in this situation. I think it's a matter of they were keeping options open if they were to make a deal for another quarterback like Deshaun Watson, depending on how that situation went. And then the other thing is, let's say you name Jalen Hurts the starter in the spring, and then training camp comes around and preseason comes around, and Jalen Hurts is a complete disaster. And I don't know, maybe, Joe Flacco actually did play. I will give him this. He performed better than I thought he was going to perform.
He played well in the games.
So if there's a situation like
he showed
that,
everyone all over the world. That's what Nick Sirianni
Yeah,
said.
that was very funny.
Yes.
So if there's a situation like that, I don't.
For those who didn't see it, right, for those who didn't see it, he said of Joe Flacco, he showed the world what he could do in the third preseason game. This guy who won a Super Bowl, people were watching him in the preseason finale against the Jets.
So I think you never want to be in a situation where you have to explain to the locker room, hey, this person didn't earn, especially when you're a first-year coach, this person didn't earn their job, but they're going to be the starter anyway. And so I actually never really had a big issue with the way he went about that. Okay. Running backs.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to get to the running backs. Miles Sanders. Are we going Kenny? Does he prefer to be called Kenny?
He prefers Kenny, correct.
Okay. I would say underrated name. I would say Kenny. I like a Kenny. No?
Do you prefer Kenny to Kenneth or Ken?
Yeah, I like a Kenny.
Yeah, I feel like Ken Bone ruined Ken's for me.
Okay. Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott. So, Bo, do you need to cheer? Were you celebrating when Jordan Howard was not on the roster? Oh, we have to, by the way, at what point do we get to the winner of the beat writer? Are you really announcing that on the show?
Yeah, I can. Would you like me to? Actually, it's good because, well, I'll explain.
Bo did well.
People have been asking, and
let the people know what this is for those,
So the people who don't know, and who how could you not know at this point? But there's a contest every year for the 53-man cut down. The beat writers can enter. It's a $5 entry fee. I think we're allowed to say. You got to predict the 53, and I'm the defending 2-time champion. So heavy is the head that wears the crown. This is what I think about. I think of this as the final exam for training camp. Who is paying the most attention, who can get inside Howie Roseman's head the best. And I have to humbly say, I have to hand over the championship, the belt, and we are.
You were a little, when we did sign on, I thought like Bo let me on, and I'm like, I actually, this is legitimate. I said, is everything okay? Because he looked I don't know if there's anything else, but he looked very sullen, and I just wanted to make sure. I think he just goes hello. When I signed on,
yeah.
No hello, no doctor.
Well, I take this seriously. I really wanted to win.
Okay,
so
right, go ahead.
Unfortunately, no. But you guys know this. We have the winner waiting to join the show. So congratulations, humbly, to this year's King of the Beats.
Wait, is it Bo? Oh, gosh.
You say,
oh my God.
Or is he handing
the roster cut down game is worth trying to play? You try to predict which Eagles players have to say bye. Why so sad? Remember you had a fair chance to win on cut down day. Now you're making me glad.
Well, I thought he was
Remember, despite your attendance, I'm your man. Guess who's back? 53. You'll remember it belongs to me. Guess who's back? Can't you tell? You'll remember all the beats who fell. Jack Stoll's rise, Howard's fall. I have seen the moves through it all. And when push comes to shove, I will win the roster contest thrice to remind you of my dove. Da 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 da. You say this shtick is fading and I can't go on. You'll still be the one complaining because of Bradley Shawn. And no, don't change the subject, 'cause this is my favorite subject. My sweet roster subject. My loyal royal subject. Forever. and ever, and ever, and ever, and ever. I'll be back like before.
more?
I will fight the fight for the top score, for your love, for your praise. And I'll love you through the doggy days when you're Johnson Pat not bad. Making the roster sure is rad. 'Cause when push comes to shove, I will still complain about Coyote Awashika to remind you of my love. Da 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 da. Da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 da. Hey, everybody! Da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da. Da 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 ya da. 3 in a row.
Congratulations.
All right.
Honestly, I texted you today and said, you got 51. Did anyone get more than 51? And Bo was like, no, it's not me. Clearly, he was just waiting. You know the expression, act like you've been there before? For someone who's been there before, Bo does not act like he's been there before. Right? Well earned. Congratulations.
51 out of 53. And there were 3
Now,
people,
someone-
including you, Zach, who finished with 49. So
I
there's.
finished with 50.
Oh,
Are you sure?
Oh, one off. So if he was one off on his
I
own,
have
look at
you as having Andrew Adams, T.Y. McGill, Travis Fulgham, and Jordan Howard.
Jordan
That's
Howard.
four misses.
Well, no, but I got 50 that were on the roster because I had here.
T.Y. McGill,
Yeah.
if we
No,
can
no,
debate
no,
whether
not
T.Y.
including
McGill, I do not think that
controversy.
T.Y. McGill, but it doesn't matter. You're behind by 2
Yeah.
anyway. So, but T.Y. McGill, I don't think
viewers,
should count.
listeners, if you can think of any way where we can turn this against Bo, maybe some way he would have cheated, miscounted, anything like that, please chime in and chime in heavily. And really, don't spare.
I
go all out.
I think we got to take a second to just appreciate how impressive this is.
Well, wait, I want to know who
And
is
the song. Like, I know, like, I mean,
Well,
that was
The worst
just-
singer in the world, most
No,
likely.
that was so, like, the creative genius you have, Bo, is unreal. Like,
Marissa.
obviously,
No.
Marissa, this isn't the
Marissa,
Can't Wait
there's
podcast.
enough of me today.
Let's just.
I like was laughing so hard when he sent that over. Also, just for our YouTube listeners that can see that Bo is currently wearing a crown, and what is that thing called? It has a scepter,
Scepter,
whatever it's called. He went to the store to buy those this afternoon.
That's correct.
Not like roster cut down is like the busiest day for beat raiders, but
I was waiting for the transcript to come out from
Bo
Howie.
made the time to go purchase a crown.
Now, who counted all the
I have
who
them.
was in
I have them,
charge
but I
of
will
all that?
send out the I have the spreadsheet. I'll send
So
it out
who
to the whole
saw
group.
yours?
So I just
Mine was
counted.
published on The Athletic.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 50 players. I had 50 players right, not including McGill.
How is that possible if you missed 4 people?
I mean, I can count with you if you want. That'd be bad. Although we
Yeah.
did
Zach,
waste
you-
your time
Zach,
doing
you
that.
have
guys do
Jordan
that on
Howard,
your own time.
Andrew
We don't-
Adams. Okay, I see what you're. Well, because McGill is not on the 53. You're counting McGill.
No, I'm not. I am not.
All right, I'll send you the spreadsheet, Zach. But it's
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, but
Somebody look into this. If anybody, is into, if you volunteer at your local precinct for the elections, anything like that, or know about the funny business that can occur in these types of contests.
It's like you missed 4
elections.
guys.
We've got to have a specialist out there who can turn this
You
against
missed 4
both
guys.
somehow.
Now I do have to say, Eagles Nut, Greg Richards on Twitter, he did get 52, so he gets credit, but he
Official king.
he didn't enter the contest.
Beats.
So
Okay.
the 2
All
I
right.
missed were we can get to Fulgham versus Arthega-Whiteside, and then I had Coyote on, and I did not have Tui Pelotu on.
Yeah, I'm gonna save my congratulations until I know it's official, but I'll say okay job for now. let's just wait and make sure.
Fair enough.
We're not counting our chickens. All right. Everyone looks
Zach is going to be
flustered.
Zach is going to be distracted the rest of the episode.
I can't promise that the rest of this episode is going to go smoothly after that. So who did you miss, Bo? Travis Fulgham and who?
I had Fulgham on and Arthega-Whiteside off, and then I had Awashika on and Tui Pelotu off.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, running backs, they don't keep Jordan Howard. I guess that was some people did have Jordan Howard on, I would imagine. Bo, yes?
Yes. So there were 10 beats who entered the contest. I also kept track of your boy T-Max just since he published it. Howard was on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the 11.
Zach, did you have Landon Dickerson?
He was on NFI for me.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then that doesn't count.
That's what
I know. I am not counting Landon Dickerson. I'm counting the players who I had right, and I had 50 players correct.
I don't think that's accurate.
Okay.
What is it? Tread lightly. This is a very serious
fight.
Anyways, regardless, congratulations. It was well earned.
The price that I pay is that this is all I think about.
You hit Landon Dickerson being activated, and you hit them cutting Jordan Howard, and you also hit T.Y. McGill getting COVID. So congratulations.
You don't know that, first of all, you don't know that T.Y. McGill would have made the team if he wasn't on the COVID list. And second of all, I still would have won.
I frankly don't think he would have made the team. So
Okay. I don't have much else to say about the running backs.
Okay. Yeah. I think they're fine.
Howard will be back.
I think
there's a good chance.
I
think we'll see him again. But I don't know that he. I think if they see an interesting running back on the waiver wire, they would be happy to add them. The one thing that I want to say, about the semantics or the mechanics of how the next 24 hours will go. If the Eagles have said they're gonna claim some guys, but in order to claim a guy, they are gonna have to cut somebody. The waivers process tomorrow at 4:00. And only after that can you put guys on injured reserve. So you can't we're putting Tyree Jackson on injured reserve. We're gonna claim a guy off waivers. They're gonna have to cut people in order to claim people, and then they can add guys once they put people on IR.
Okay, so are there people that you think should not be celebrating too much today, or not?
Yes.
It's obviously a tough situation. You're happy, but who might not be that comfortable at this moment. Who would those people be?
I think Arthega-Whiteside is one of those people.
Okay.
I think that Tui Pelotu is one of those people. I think one of the linebackers could go, and maybe one of the guys in the secondary, maybe a Josiah Scott or even a Marcus Epps.
Okay, Zach,
depending on what they claim.
From there, who you think is sort of it's one of the toughest decisions for them?
I think the king of the beats summed it up well there. I think.
Thank you very much. Hear ye.
I think
I might need to go full King Booker and just to ride this out all year.
This ties into Jordan Howard. One thing that I do think they were very cognizant of in putting together this roster was the vested, and we talked about this on the last podcast, the vested veteran versus the waiver wire, right? And because if you just look at some guys who they released and some guys who they kept, they very clearly did not want to expose certain players to waivers. There have been situations in the past, like Brett Toth, for instance, in 2019, when they thought he was going to practice squad and Arizona claimed him. Even last year, Noah Tongiai with the Colts, right? So in any event, I think that they were willing to cut some of these vested veterans, Jordan Howard, Richard Rodgers,
Hassan Ridgeway, Andrew Adams,
exactly, and in favor of keeping guys on rookie contracts, because first off, with practice squad rules this year, like you can have Jordan Howard on your practice squad this week, promote him to your 53, and not promote him to 53, promote him to your game day roster. He plays, then he goes back on practice squad. Then you can even sign him next week. So there are different things you could do in that regard.
There are There's one Tuipulotu thing that I mean, this is extremely in the weeds.
We're going to go position by position.
Okay,
So
that's
save
fine.
that for the defensive line. Now, I'm glad you mentioned Noah Tongiai because I do have some notes from the last podcast that I want to get to. But before we do that, I want to tell you about Element. LMNT. It's a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, 60 milligrams magnesium with none of the junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS. I mean, it fits a variety of lifestyles, right? You might be doing some intermittent fasting. You might be, working out more, be an athlete out there. You might be on a low carb, paleo, keto, or a whole food diet. Well, guess what? It will help you with any and all of those things. Everyone needs electrolytes, especially those on the low carb diets, those practicing intermittent or extended fasting, like I mentioned, or those who are physically active and sweat a lot. If you're someone who likes to rock an undershirt because you got some of that sweat coming through the top layer, Element could certainly be for you. Did you know Element is the exclusive hydration partner to Team USA weightlifting and many other Olympic athletes? And best of all, they offer no questions asked refunds. You can try it totally risk-free. If you don't like it, share it with a salty friend, and they will give you your money back. No questions asked. So, drink Element. It's a healthy alternative to sugary electrolyte drinks. Each grab-and-go stick pack replaces essential electrolytes with no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, or any other junk. Drink Element every day. It can support your low-carb diet, your fast, your workout, all those things that we mentioned. And as a member of the Birds with Friends community, Element has a very special offer for you. You can claim your free Element sample pack. You only cover the cost of shipping. You can get yours at drinkelement.com. That's drinklmnt.com/birdswithfriends. Z-Berm, you want to tell us about
the
some
NBA?
hoops?
Absolutely. And
For the record, Zach, I just read your story and I counted it's 49.
It is 49. I was about to say that. Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt. I did not want to interrupt Sheil. I included Landon Dickerson when I was counting together. That was my fault there. I do want to talk about the NBA. Sorry, I was
bringing my integrity into question. Not
at all. I was not impugning it.
As the king, I feel like I must lay down the law and do some kind of cutting your hands off or something.
Well, speaking about the king, today's episode is sponsored by the NBA and their quest to advance the game of basketball, grow the community, and impact culture. The league celebrates its teams, players, and fans across the past, present, and future as part of its 75th anniversary season. That's Game highlights pivotal moments on court and beyond, from iconic plays in arenas to the impact players have in the community. That's the NBA. That's Game. Think about, frankly, the Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. It might be Ben Simmons' last game in a Sixers uniform, passes up that dunk there. The Atlanta Hawks win. That's the NBA. That's Game. Well, this is more than just basketball. It's what connects us all and keeps us coming back for more. That's the NBA. That's Game.
All right. Thank you for that, Zebra. And we are going to get to, I think, the big story. Maybe it's not a huge story, but the big story of the roster cutdowns, I do think, was Travis Fulgham. Bo, how many people had Travis Fulgham off the roster? Anybody?
No, a few people did, actually. I didn't. I did not. 1, 2, 3 people had him off.
Okay, so I want to get that to that in a moment. But first, I wanted to give my impressions of the last pod. What time was that last podcast recorded?
It's like a 2 a.m.er.
I think we need to rethink the preseason strategy. Maybe.
Yeah, that might be right.
If nothing, if we have the same producer, who's still agreeing to do this podcast at that time.
Unlikely.
If for nothing else. And of course, we had some listeners say, you know what? Z-Berm's right. We need to do a 5:30 a.m. podcast. I think some people.
It's only fair.
Yeah, so I think Bo would be, not happy with that. Everyone thought Zach would be happy with that. There were some people I saw who were wondering, Marissa and Sheil, they said they're kind of wild cards. Do they prefer the late night or the early morning? I'll tell you what, you do a 5:30 a.m. I'll get to bed early the night before. I'll have the coffee. I'll be ready to go at 5:30. I would love to do that. I don't think you would notice any dip in my performance. I might even be a little more peppy. Marissa,
so there's a
would you prefer 5:30 or a 2:30 a.m.?
It does matter to me.
Marissa is like this is the old sports writer joke, but she's like Kramer when he was just doing like the 2-hour naps and he didn't really sleep. That seems to be what her sleep schedule is.
Yeah,
So,
I'm a night person, but I could be a morning person too.
Okay.
Whatever you guys want, whatever the listeners want, I'm up for.
well, if we ever do this 5:30 pod, Bo can't game this. So it's like after a Monday night game, and he finishes his writing at 5:30.
Oh, I don't want
and he's
that.
up
I don't want
anyways.
that either. Yeah.
Okay, no, because
But you're
it
hosting
needs
the
to
show.
be- That's fine. I
Yeah.
would have so much juice
Okay.
at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Man. That's my time, right? So I can't text anyone then. So
right, we gotta
I'm
make it
sitting there.
happen.
I would love the pod at that time.
I would think we should do it for one of the remaining shows we have before the season. Once the season gets started, you're in that schedule, but we've got a couple, 2-3 shows coming up before the season. Maybe we do it for one of those. So you can let us know. Would that be a live pod? Would we be on YouTube for that, or would that be a
I
recorded?
think we'd have an audience.
Overseas, we got a big overseas listenership.
Okay. Well, we could
All right.
potentially do it this Friday if you want, Zach.
We'll think about it. Listen, I'm not going to be locked into anything, as you know. I thought there was a drop opportunity from the last episode. Bo saying my underwear is soaked.
Yeah.
Let's
Sounds
make
about
sure.
right.
Yeah, we got to cut that out.
I think I see we've got Mark Sitko in the chat today, so
Okay.
maybe you can help us out.
I thought you guys were saying right too much. You would say a sentence and then say
We were
right,
pulling the Two-Hill.
and then I don't know.
The thing we made fun of Casey Two-Hill for that 2 years ago.
You guys were all over that. I was
Someone counted it for me.
Oh, they did.
Yes.
So somebody
yes,
else noticed it. I didn't think it was just you. I thought Bo was on the right train as well, but I could be wrong there.
Yeah, never want to be on
Okay.
the right train.
Okay, so because I
I'm
had
going Jay Wright strain any day, right? I just said it right.
I had a professor, I think I've said before, in college who was a big right guy. And so I definitely noticed it when we overdo the rights. Bo, you had a comment about Noah Tongiai and said something like, we all thought, I can tell you I had no opinions on Noah Tongiai.
Yeah, but you weren't there, so you weren't part of the we.
All right, so you're like, you and next time clarify it's you and Zach.
No, I meant we as like the people covering the Eagles.
Cognoscenti? Okay. Well, all right. I thought it was Bo, you love this roster. I mean, wow. Really? Like, Zach was making the point that it might not be that hard to get to 53 this year in some churn, and you were like, I don't think so.
I mean, they got a pick for Matt Pryor today.
What are you up to now? 11-6, 12. I mean, we won't do our official predictions until next week, but that was.
I don't know.
I mean,
it could be okay.
It wouldn't be
I
hard
think
to get to
Sorry, go ahead.
53. To get to 49 is not difficult, but to get to 53, that's the challenge. That's
right.
I'm trying to be self-deprecating here.
That's good.
By the way, I'm not
I think
salty that
what is interesting to me is that I think there is a good crop of like interesting young guys worth keeping around. That may not translate into on-field success. Like there's a huge gulf on this roster from guys who are like first and second years, and then guys who are like very established veterans. There are not a lot of guys who are like third, fourth, fifth years, and that's where like the actual important strength of a roster is. If you look at like team success, I think so. I think I like the way that they are building things based on this year, and I think it'll matter more in future years than it will matter this year.
So to that point, and I don't mean to deviate here or get us off track, but it is something that I wanted to propose tonight, and perhaps we can talk about it at a different date.
That's me reacting to you about to propose. Yeah,
I thought you were going to make an indecent proposal.
So after the press conference, like I was really frustrated, right? And
my underwears.
My wife. So by the way, I need to stop saying my wife. Her name's Emily. I should refer. I don't want to say
my wife.
I think that's fine.
So So she says to me, what's wrong? And I said, I'm so frustrated at the question that I asked in the press conference.
I didn't love mine either.
Because the reality is with these Zoom press conferences, you only get one bullet, or you only get I don't
one
use
mic,
that term.
one shot.
You only get one shot, right? So
Mom spaghetti.
I don't think I saw the forest for the trees, if you will, right? Like I was fixated on the micro, like how they came up with these decisions.
He's in Indianapolis.
And I should have
little freaking thing I've ever seen in my life.
I should have really focused on the macro, especially because we were talking to Howie. And this is a long-winded way of saying what I'm fascinated by is you look at where they started in January, right? And then you look at where they are now. What do they make of this roster? If you said to Howie, this is what your roster would look like on August 31st, would he have signed up for that? Would he have said, that's concerning to me? Would he have said, why are we signing Joe Flacco? And
he should be saying that.
So I'm really fascinated by what the internal perception of this team is, because there is this thought about them being in a transition year, but they're not tanking. And we've talked about that. What they want is they want to create flexibility. That's why you've seen 1-year deals. I think there are 18 of 53 players are new to the team this year. So I'm real curious internally what they think of this roster. Anyways, I'm sorry to go on that tangent.
I don't think they would be surprised. I mean, I think once you decide to trade Carson Wentz and don't have an immediate solution to replace him, you automatically put yourself in this mode. And you have an old roster, you have veterans, your best players are all 30 years or older. And so it's just, all right, let's get some young guys some opportunities and see what it looks like in the summer. I mean, really, they're just buying a year. This whole thing is they're buying a year and they're accumulating resources for next offseason. Now, if they get surprised in the process with some of this, that's great. That's fine. That does happen. But I think this is kind of what they envisioned probably once they decided that Wentz was going to be gone.
Great point by Robin in the chat. Huge difference between saying my wife and the wife. I feel like red flag if you like, the wife, the old ball and chain.
I agree.
Yeah, I think is my wife like offensive or something?
No, I think my wife is fine. Yeah.
Okay. No, it's just I was listening back to the podcast and I'm like, she has a name, right? I keep saying my wife.
Well, you like to open up and share a lot with your personal life, so I could see how that would. I could see how that would bother you.
Here's a guessing game for you. How much do you think this scepter cost? It's
are you going to tell me where you went or no?
The Party City knockoff place on Columbus Boulevard.
I would say that cost $597.
Okay, and what about the Crown?
I would say the Crown would be a little bit more expensive. Let's say $797.
A lot of guesses in the chat. Zach, do you have any guesses?
No, I don't.
The scepter.
Is this like Price is Right? Yeah.
I'm generally very good at this.
Yeah.
We play this game at home all the time, but I don't know if I nailed it.
Marissa, do you have a guess? See if you can beat Sheil.
I have no idea, but I just love the fact that you have not put it down.
The scepter costs $10 and the crown costs $15.
Wow.
15?
Yeah.
Wow.
I just want to point something out here, okay?
Thank you to the Athletic. I'll be expensing that.
Bo sent to our editor and me yesterday his upcoming coverage plan. And this guy is loaded with work over the next 8 days, right? Like has so much work.
Yep.
Meanwhile,
3 hours of sleep last night.
He has time to write a song, perform a song, go to Party City to get a costume.
And send me selfies with the crown on.
Yes.
Well, you asked for that, to be fair. I didn't just send him out of the blue. You needed something for the image.
Yeah, so that's what fascinates me.
Selfies.
Okay, unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay.
A little pricey ones. All right, last two notes I had here. Bo, you were making this like Sirianni Howie discussion. Like, ooh, what's this going to tell us about the?
You think I was overstating that?
I mean, they might ask Sirianni for his opinion, but
with none of these decisions are they saying,
well, Nick said this, but we want to do A, but Nick said B. We're going to do B. I mean, come on.
I think the Fulgham Arthega-Whiteside decision disagrees with you. That's not really. I'm not personifying the decision. I think that was a reflection of taking Sirianni's desires over what made more sense for the roster.
I disagree. I think if they thought internally that Fulgham had this upside that could be reached by a good coaching staff, and he was going to be able to perform like he did last year, then he would be on. I don't think they would have.
Well, that's dumb then, because he literally has proven that.
Well, how do you? I mean, I don't know. This is now you do have to look. You have to look at it. This is two coaching staffs who have sort of given up on him here. Other people around the league. So
there's an information deficit.
Yeah, I think this is one that we probably should be, try to do as much reporting on as we can, because there has to be a reason, you would think, at this point.
But the flip side to that is we do know what JJ Arthega-Whiteside is like. Yeah. So even if Travis Fulgham is like the worst guy in the world and is like MFing coaches all around the building, I'd still rather have him than JJ and see. Then you see what other receivers shake loose. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever.
All right. Well, yeah, I thought that was I thought that was overstated there.
That's fine.
But you asked Zach about the punter, Aaron Sipas.
Yeah. The first you've heard his name?
Second, I think. But then he started to answer, and then you cut him off and gave your opinion. Come on.
Yeah, that's a bad job.
I mean, doing that. Yeah.
I do that way too often. That's a real.
But that's like next level. When you ask that, I mean, that's just rubbing it in his face. We'll try to cut those out.
Fair enough.
And then Zach, I wrote down, what time is it? ? Here's my exact note. What time is it ? We really don't need to know who they added on waivers in 2016. I promise. And I have a feeling Marissa was probably thinking the same thing. It was like the last 10 minutes of the episode.
Itchy at the top of this crown.
Okay, well, all right. So those were my Zach is in protest over. He's
still upset about the 49
King of the Beats, yeah, which I respect. All right, let's get to some of these other roster moves. Okay, so you kind of gave a little hint there. So they're wide receivers that they keep: Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins, Greg Ward, JJ Arthega Whiteside. Do you have any other thoughts on the decision to move Fulgham? Like, do you think Fulgham? Let me ask it this way: what percentage chance do you give that Fulgham at some point, I guess the rest of his career, is a productive starter on an NFL team?
The rest of his career is a productive starter, or is ever a productive starter again?
At some point, it could even just be for a season, because that's all they should really care about.
20%.
Okay.
And for Arthega-Whiteside, I would be like 5%.
Okay.
I also wonder. I wonder if they go, if who knows what shakes loose on waivers. I wonder if Greg Ward's spot is entirely safe. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I was looking at that thinking, why do they need
I think Whiteside was playing in the slot, so now you got nothing but slots.
Right. So I don't know why you need to keep a Greg Ward.
Like a casino in here.
Okay. All right. So it's a somewhat interesting wide receiver
interesting.
group,
I think a lot depends on if Quez Watkins is for real.
Yeah.
And also if Jalen Reagor can be a little bit more consistent.
Okay. Do you think Fulgham will land on a roster this year?
Yes.
Do you?
I do trust that. Howie was able to get a pick for Matt Pryor. I trust that if Fulgham wasn't going to make the team, he shopped him around and nobody offered anything. But
I would you can get a swap for Matt Pryor and nothing for Fulgham.
Right. But I think I would expect that he gets claimed.
Okay.
Tomorrow, but we'll see.
Do you think any part of this had to do with the organization trying to save a little face and say, we didn't waste a pick on JJ Arthega-Whiteside, he's still salvageable?
I think if JJ Arthega-Whiteside had not been, I don't know if it was a conscious thing, right? But I think if he had not been anchored as a second-round pick, he would not be on the roster. I mean, this was like his least productive training camp of the 3 training camps. He had a nice preseason game. He had a good special teams block. But there's this idea that he's really proven he can play special teams. I don't think that's the case. He didn't play it at all his first 2 seasons, barely. He was better at it this summer than he has been in the past, but like he's not some special teams ace. He's no Kelly Washington. So,
well, I was always wondering why that wasn't the case. I think even his rookie year, I'm going.
He's a good blocker.
Like you, yeah. He seems to work hard, try hard, be coachable. Good blocker, physical. Like the straight line speed, right? He tested well. Coming out of Stanford, I was like, why is his floor? I remember thinking, why can't his floor be a fourth or fifth wide receiver who's good on special teams? And it was like, well, he doesn't play special teams. Well, why doesn't he play? Why did it take till his third season till he's doing anything on special teams? That I never really understood.
I agree.
Okay. All right. So that's the wide receiver.
By the way, just so you know, this is a Kansas City Royals shirt. You get it? How I pulled that all together? Royals.
You really thought about this.
Sure did.
You got
Bo Jackson, obviously.
You got some Burger King tighty whities on or something, or what else?
That'd be good. That'd be a good ad.
Okay. But when's your birthday, June? If anybody's looking to get Bo something,
I'll still be the reigning champ at that point.
You heard it here first. All right, tight ends. Zach Ertz. It continues to be weird to me.
Yeah.
Still on the team with Dallas Goedert, Jack Stoll, and Tyree Jackson. So how does this play out with the Tyree Jackson? I think this is what you were explaining earlier.
So they have to wait until after 4:00 tomorrow to place Tyree Jackson on injured reserve. So after they've already added and cut guys. Sirianni mentioned Tyree Jackson when he was asked if there was anybody who, like, at the end of the spring he would not have foreseen being on this roster, and he said like he's like loath to give specifics about this, but even he was like, well, Tyree Jackson was a quarterback last year. There's no way I expected that. And he showed enough. I'm still not sure that they shouldn't have just put him on injured reserve, like season-ending injured reserve. The fact that they're holding him so that they can bring him back at some point tells you that they think that he can actually contribute this season. Now, maybe it's just they want him to be able to practice for his long-term development, but that's a big leap to take to hold a roster spot just for that possibility. So it's interesting.
Marissa made the point that we should mention for our audio listeners that Zach's internet cut out, or they might really think that he just left. I forgot that not everyone is watching here. It might have been fun if I just didn't address it.
He didn't answer my message.
Yeah,
so I'm a little concerned about him.
He texted us, and I'll read you exactly what he said. He said, "Sorry, internet per came borks."
What?
And then he said problems. It was some kind of mistype.
I'm sure, given how this episode is gone, he's going to be thrilled that you read that verbatim. All right, offensive lineman. We have a left tackle. We think we knew we had a left tackle, but it's announced.
Right.
Jordan Mailata. What a story. Week one, not quite as impressive as Michael Dunn, but it's sort of the Eagles, like a poor man's version of that. Jordan Mailata. I remember the year. What was it? 2018 was it? When did he get drafted? 18, 19? 18. And there was the thing, like they worked him out, and I think we thought, all right, this is going to be an undrafted free agent. I don't remember if
they brought him in for a pre-draft visit.
Right. Did we predict undrafted free agents back then? I don't know. I
had predicted him as a 7th round pick in a mock draft.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then he gets there. He's doing a lot of media because he was an interesting story.
The Peanuts thing.
Yeah. He had a great personality off the bat. And now season 4, the man's going to be starting at left tackle. Good for him.
And he's fully earned it. Without a doubt. And so Sirianni, I asked him about, because he had said Hurts is like, you've seen practice. He's taking all the reps with the ones, that he's the starter. He's the starter. And so I said, is it the same with Mailata? He's been taking all the reps. And he said, yeah. And I think half of what he said was true and half was not. He said like Dillard had a really good summer. He just got injured. And then like when he was gone, the first team offensive line really like coalesced. But Mailata has had like a great summer. I think that part is true. Mailata has had a great summer, and I did the ranking of 1 to 84, and Mailata was number 1 on that list because he had so much to play for, and he was dominant. I think he's been really good. I think there's a chance that he's a Pro Bowl caliber player at some point.
Okay.
Whereas Dillard has not been good. Maybe we overvalue one-on-ones because he gets really pushed around in one-on-ones. And he's a little bit better in team drills, but I've seen him getting pushed around in team drills, especially early in camp. He was, I thought, much better in the preseason game against the Jets. I thought he was fine. I think it's reasonable for them to keep him around, but I also think it's like plain to the naked eye that Jordan Mailata is so far ahead of him.
Most likely scenario for Andre Dillard, let's say he had to play this year, would it be above average starter,
No,
competent starter, below average starter, or complete disaster? Like
I would say below average starter.
Okay, Zach.
I would say if Dillard had to play below average starter, yes.
Okay. I would agree with that.
Maybe league average, but
I was thinking maybe needed to be replaced bad.
Okay. All right. So what's more likely, that he is a disaster who needs to be replaced, or that he's a solid, competent starter?
I think it's more likely that he starts fewer than 10 career games than he ever has a season as a starter.
Really? I don't. I'll take you up on that.
Okay.
All right, what do we bet?
I think somebody might give him a chance once, and he doesn't do a good job, and that's it.
I don't want those BK undies either. So think of something else.
Okay.
Pastificios. We haven't done a
Pastificios.
Right.
It is.
So what did you say? You said it's more likely that he starts fewer than 10 games.
Yes.
Than that he's a competent starter for a season.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll take you up on that.
Okay.
Zach. We lost you there for.
I apologize there.
We were talking football.
The reason I changed rooms tonight was because I'm having all types of internet issues. So I thought I would go closer to the router, but I might need to unhook some wires and do a bunch of that. But I apologize.
Classic man stuff.
I apologize that I texted the two of you and I didn't text Marissa. I apologize.
Okay, Zach. I was just worried about you.
I was frantic.
We have been meaning to compliment your background. That's a lovely painting that you have behind you. Yeah.
Is it a photograph or a painting?
That is a painting. It's my grandmother's.
Love it.
No. And anyways,
big fan.
All right. So what I was going to tell you, Zach, is that we went over the wide receivers and tight ends. You don't have to force a take. Do you have any points you wanted to make there? Of course, Travis Fulgham gone.
Sure.
JJ Arcega-Whiteside still around, and the tight ends. I don't think there was anything we really need to get into.
Sure. In fear of sounding repetitive, because I don't know what you guys said, but
we didn't make any good points. So
I was mildly surprised in that I thought the way Travis Fulgham played last year, the demonstrated performance, bought him enough equity to make the team. That said, in watching practices, I don't think he deserved to be on the team based on the practices, right? And this is a new coaching staff. And if you're going to have 5 weeks of practice and 4 joint practices and 3 preseason games, those need to matter too. And I understand Aaron Moorhead's still here, but Nick Sirianni's a new coach. It's a new staff. So I don't think Travis Fulgham earned it based on what has happened this summer. But I am mildly surprised given that the month of October he had last year, that was real. And that's hard for a receiver to do. It's kind of like when Don Brown got hot in June, right?
Yeah.
The Moorhead thing is interesting because Moorhead was the coach last year when he was bizarrely benched in favor of Alshon Jeffrey. So you wonder what those.
Did we lose Bo now? Did you send your internet over to Bo? Nice
maybe job. It's a Philadelphia thing, right?
Can you hear me now?
Back. Yeah.
Okay. Back. I was going to say, did you hear what I said about Moorhead?
Oh, we heard it all. Yeah, good point.
Okay. I was saying the Moorhead dynamic's interesting because he was the coach last year when he was bizarrely benched for Alshon Jeffrey. So you wonder what those dynamics are like. But Zach, Sheil, and I were discussing. Tell me do you think it's fair that to read Arcega-Whiteside over Fulgham as Nick Sirianni getting his way, as the camp mattering more than the larger picture, or you think that just Howie doesn't think that he's any good?
That's an interesting point. There's not such a huge organizational investment, right? That perhaps Howie's willing to give that one to Sirianni. Sirianni did say today, I don't know if you guys mentioned this, that special teams was a big factor in it, in that I mean, clearly Travis Fulgham's not a top great receiver. Quez Watkins is. And if you're the fifth receiver on the team, you need to play special teams. And JJ is a willing special team.
Uh-oh.
I think you guys are nuts. I mean, if Howie Roseman felt even an ounce of, strongly that he wanted Travis Fulgham on the roster and thought he could be a starting caliber receiver, he's on the roster. I mean, like a coach who won the Super Bowl didn't have any juice. This is Nick Sirianni, all due respect.
Yeah, but you're starting the relationship from
that's
scratch.
fine. All right. So again, yeah. So if you're throwing him a bone and saying, all right, I want to make sure we're building this relationship different or it's working, the issues we've had in the past don't creep up here, then that's fine. But that means you probably didn't feel that strongly about Travis Fulgham.
I think that's fair.
Maybe if you wanted it, you're right. If it came down to it and you said, all right, Howie, who would you want? And he said Fulgham, and Sirianni said Arcega-Whiteside, and Howie, it wasn't like he was going to pound the table for Fulgham. Then yes, I could see it. All right, I want Fulgham, but hey, we want to get you the guys who can compete, and you've been around them every day, and it's a collaborative thing.
Your
the
position,
way these things,
yeah.
Then that's fine. But if it was stronger than that, where he really, felt like, all right,
I agree with that.
Fulgham can be a starter, then there's zero chance that they would say, all right,
yeah,
let's go.
I agree with that.
Okay. All right, so that's the only.
I'm sorry for my internet tonight, guys. By the way,
it's okay.
It
is disappointing because I think when they hired Sirianni, and as we've discussed for much of the offseason and in the practices I've been at, and you guys can clarify if this is common or not, but I mean, Sirianni's coaching up those wide receivers all the time. I mean, he's with that group. He knows them well, and it felt like Fulgham showed the talent. Bo, you did the research last year where it's just like uncommon. I mean, you can't take for granted how hard it is to be good in the NFL, that someone would be able to put together those numbers for 4 games. Like it's impossible to happen by accident. You have to have like a certain level of talent that is very hard to reach. And so I think if you're just a fan, it is disappointing because I think you probably came into this saying, man, they might've hit on somebody who's not making a lot of money, who could be a starting caliber receiver, who has a skill set that these other guys don't have. That's another aspect to it. His skill set is not redundant with a Quez Watkins or a Devontae Smith. And now it's like, well, that experiment is over. So it will be an interesting career to watch. And Zach, as we were saying earlier, probably one that, we'll continue to kind of report on and sort of figure out why did they make this decision? How is it that a guy can have that stretch and then have, multiple coaching staffs say, it's not happening.
Right.
It's not worth the trouble because that is unusual. Usually talent kind of wins out there. All right.
We don't have to totally we've already belabored it, and I know we have other positions to get to, but it like they wanted Fulgham to be the guy.
Yes.
Like he started camp as one of the 3
Good
starters.
point.
So like it's not like he was fighting an uphill battle. He really just totally plummeted down the depth chart.
Yep.
That is true. And speaking of fighting an uphill battle, you won't be fighting an uphill battle if you're using a little thing I like to call Earnest. Okay, Earnest. With today's low interest rates, it's a great time to refinance your student loans. It's time to break out of the student debt cycle. Earnest can help you by refinancing those student loans. Earnest offers low-rate student loan refinancing, and you can check your rate risk-free in just 2 minutes. With Earnest, you get radically flexible payments, and you can pick your loan term. By refinancing, you can reduce your loan term, save money, or combine multiple loans into a simple monthly payment. And if you have questions, you can even talk to a real-life human at Earnest for help. Isn't it time you stopped feeling overwhelmed by your student debt? Earnest is offering our listeners a $100 cash bonus. Refinance your student debt at earnest.com/birds. Terms and conditions apply. Right now, Earnest is giving our listeners a $100 bonus. Again, refinance your student loans at earnest.com/birds. Once again, a $100 cash bonus when you visit earnest.com/birds to refinance your student loans. Not available in all states. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, Sheil, you talked about working yourself uphill. I'll tell you another way that you can work uphill. That's on the Peloton. It says here to discuss some activities that are better at home. For example, sleeping in your own bed. I know that's going to be the case for Marissa starting tomorrow night when she gets that king size bed. And it's true, some things are just better at home sweet home. Well, the good news is Peloton delivers a workout experience that you would never imagine was possible right in your own home. I've been doing the Peloton. I did it this morning. Had my 3 hours of sleep. Figured, okay, this story's done. Now I can try to get a nap. Had too much caffeine when I woke up. Could not get back down for the nap. So instead, I did a little half an hour on the bike. Did a little Ben Aldis ride. Like little dry British delivery. A little bit different than the other people on there. And he's got a lot of uphill climb stuff, which is good. Gooses up the output. Gooses up the the chance to get your personal record. So good stuff. Good stuff from Aldis.
Also good if someone gooses you.
I know that's right. So Peloton, there's all this good stuff. Social engagement, limitless disciplines. You can have the Peloton app go for a run. You can do yoga. You can do Pilates. There's curated music. They've got all these different music styles. You can even do your own stuff, and it's a seamless fit to your lifestyle. When you purchase the Peloton bike, you get access to live classes and thousands on demand, plus access to the app to get you moving anytime, anywhere. With a boot camp between nap times or a ride before brunch, you can seamlessly fit Peloton into your life. With the Peloton bike, there's nothing like working out from home. Learn more at onepeloton.com. New members can try Peloton classes for free 30 days at onepeloton.com/app rather. Terms apply. That's onepeloton.com/app.
Okay, rest of the offensive linemen. So Jordan Mailata, Isaac Seumalo, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson, Andre Dillard, Jack Driscoll, Nate Herbig, Brett Toth. Correct.
Right? Correct.
Yep.
Brett Toth. Now, one thing I want to clarify, I think we've been, some people have mentioned every time we talk about it's if the offensive line can stay healthy with that.
I will say, game.
Well, that's not totally my take on it. Like, I think they can withstand league average injuries and still be an above average offensive line. I think that's the depth on the roster. So like last year was one extreme. Last year they were the most injured offensive line in the entire NFL by Football Outsiders adjusted games lost metric. So like if a couple of these guys go down, if you lose one person for the year, if you lose a couple guys for 4 to 6 games, like, that's sort of why you drafted Landon Dickerson. That's why you're keeping Andre Dillard on the roster. Jack Driscoll, Nate, like these guys have started games. I'm not saying they're going to come in and be Pro Bowlers. I also don't think their season would be ruined if they had league average injuries on the offensive line. And if you look around the league, like not a lot of, I would say there's probably fewer than 10 teams. The Browns, of course, would be one of those that you could say that about, that they can withstand some injuries and still be okay up front. I mean, some of these teams, like you look at a team like the Chicago Bears right now. I mean,
is JP starting at left tackle?
Yeah, he's starting at left tackle. If they suffer one injury at a tackle spot, I mean, I think they're already going to have like a bottom 5 offense, but that would really torpedo their season. So there are more teams like that than you would think of. Anything else on? You give me a little Landon Dickerson. I mean, what can I expect from this guy? I guess from now, let's say from now in the first half of the season.
Bo forecasted that one, so I'll defer to you.
Bo's spoken enough, Zach. I want to hear your voice.
No. Bo is our resident Landon Dickerson expert.
I don't know about that. I think the Dickerson read for me is that they correctly prioritized his long-term development over the short-term single roster spot. I don't think he's going to be ready to play the first couple weeks, but I think soon enough he will be the top interior offensive lineman backup. I was interested to see that his first practice the other day, he started at center, not at one of the guard spots, which sort of makes sense because Herbig has had trouble snapping the ball. The flip side is, you need to really know the offense, I feel, to be able to step in right away as a center. So he hasn't been practicing all summer. That's probably a nice endorsement for what he's been doing behind the scenes. I think if there's an injury that forces him into the lineup, he doesn't leave the lineup.
Even if it's at center?
I think if
Come on.
I think if it's at center and he plays well at center, he then moves to left guard and Sayamalu leaves.
Okay. I don't think he's replacing Kelsey. If Kelsey's healthy, he's
No, but I
fine.
think he stays in the lineup.
Yeah, but that would be a weird situation. That's not going to happen. Kelsey gets injured. He comes in, plays well for Kelsey, and then they see Sayamalu.
Yeah.
When Kelsey gets healthy, you think that?
I think that's very possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think how poor. What would Sayamalu? How poorly? And I don't mean he's going to play poorly, but like, what would have to happen with Sayamalu for the non-injury for them to just say, "All right, Dickerson's replacing you"? Like if he has a couple bad games, could you see that happening?
They've done it twice before.
Okay. Zach, agree with that? How does can Dickerson just push Sayamalu for a starting job, non-injury?
Not non-injury, unless
You don't think so? If Sayamalu's healthy, he's like starting left guard.
Unless he's like egregiously bad.
Okay, so you think you have to be egregiously bad?
Yes, but I do think they're grooming Dick. I mean, he's going to be a week 1 starter next year.
Of course.
So,
Yeah.
If you had to,
Now-
I had this conversation
now-
with Dave Zangara. If you had to guess what position he starts at next year, what would it be?
Center.
You think it will be center? You think Kelsey's gone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Real quick, I'm going to butter Bo up here because he does deserve it. Okay.
I've had enough.
This is
I
this is
mean,
going to be 30 seconds. This is
Am I
going to be 30 seconds.
solo host this? With the way
I'm
you
just
and
going to
Marissa
no.
are-
I'm just going to tell you. This is why the
unbelievable
great
here.
ones are great. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Practice yesterday.
This is the episode I chose to host.
Yeah,
Practice
stuff.
yesterday. First practice back this week, right? We're on the sideline. The wide receivers are practicing right in front of us. Gardner Minshew's here for the first day. All eyes are on Gardner Minshew's first practice. Bo Wolf is 40 feet away watching offensive line 101s. So I
Just individuals, not one-on-ones, but
yeah, that's what I meant. We mess with him here, but that's why he knows what he does.
Please. Not
he is.
gassing.
I'm not sure I
that,
needed to be gassed up
Give me
for
a
that.
break.
But
Yeah. Unbelievable.
I think
Worst
it's a detail
episode
worth
of the
mentioning.
year. Please go review and say Sheil was outstanding
Yeah.
as the host, but that was the worst Birds with Friends episode of the year. If there's
Sorry.
anything like that again, I'm unsubscribing. I'm leaving one.
let's
star.
have a little roast Bo with hashtag BWF Shields butt.
Okay, that's going to become a very interesting hashtag. All right, defensive line here. Brandon Graham.
I know. I can't believe you're going to be
Zach,
even. You're going to be
hold on,
even mad
Zach,
at me for this.
Hold on, Zach. I did rip Bo for when I was doing I think you weren't on for this. When he asked you the Aaron Sipas, I just got to roast Bo as much as I can here. He asked you the Aaron Sipas question last pod. You start answering, and he cuts you off and gives you his answer.
Yes.
Come on. Okay,
Well,
you
the
did
Bo Wolf
notice
show.
that. Good.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
the
yeah,
Bo Wolf show.
now we're
I'm just a
talking.
supporting member.
All right, yeah, now we're talking. What else? What are the 5 most annoying?
Internet.
All right,
We can hear
go
you,
ahead.
Zach.
What were you saying, Bo?
I was just before we move on offensive line. I know that this is silly, but I think Coyote Awashika.
Unbelievable.
I think that he is. I'm telling you, I think that he's a better long-term prospect than Brett Toth, for instance. And if I were them, I would have kept him on the roster and cut somebody else to make sure he didn't get claimed.
Okay.
That's all.
Marissa, if
We'll
we
see if
have
he
to
gets
do
one.
any of those extra episodes that, like 10 people here, just message Bo and say, Bo, you don't
Yep,
have to
I
sign
know.
on with him. Just say, give me 10 minutes on
Coyote
Awashika, and
Yes.
I'll just post it. We need no further communication on this.
Deal.
I don't think Jeff Stoutland knows as much about Coyote Awashika as Bo
I mean,
does.
I can guarantee that. Yeah, I think that I would agree. All right. Defensive line. Somehow
Defensive line.
an hour 20 in, and we're talking about the defense.
Yeah,
This
so
is not
I'll-
how I wanted this episode to go. Brandon
I'll go
Graham,
real quick
Fletcher
here.
Cox,
Yeah.
Javon Hargrave. I've got Zach's story up, by the way, which of course you can read at theathletic.com, theathletic.com/birds with friends. 50% off. People are using that. Oh, checking the numbers today. People are starting to use
good.
that. Season starting up, so definitely sign on there. Graham, Cox, Hargrave, Josh Sweat, Derek Barnett, Milton Williams, Ryan Kerrigan, Teron Jackson.
Yep.
Teron, okay, like Teron Davenport, our former beat friend, and
Ron
Marlon
Downey.
Tui Pelotu.
Yes,
Which that was not hard to say, by the way. If anybody
No.
is like, gee, Marlon, oh, geez, it really, Tui Pelotu. It's
Very
really
easy.
not hard. All right, go ahead.
So real quick here, we don't need to get into the top of the depth chart. Everyone knows those guys, right? You know, there's questions about Sweat Barnett, but everyone knows those guys. The big thing here, my 30 seconds on this is they're noticeably thin at defensive tackle after the top two, and then Milton Williams, if you think he's going to be primarily a defensive tackle. So curious to see what they do at that spot if they add there. The big thing here was them keeping both 6th-round picks, Jackson and Tuli. I'm sorry,
that's okay.
Marlon.
Tui Pelotu.
Yes, Tuli Pelotu. And Howie Roseman said, like, clearly, you know, these guys are not where, you know, they need to be yet, right? It's going to take some time, but the team has seen progress in both of them. They drafted them as developmental players. They have, and we touched on this earlier, they've had experiences in the past where they've cut guys and they kept an older player, then they had the draft to replace him soon. So I think the big thing with the 53 here is keeping these 2 6th-round picks, because I don't think they were like 2 of the 53 best players on the roster this summer, if that makes sense.
I think
Does this
Teron
have anything
Jackson
to do
was
with Tom Donahoe, right?
Ooh.
I mean, they needed to keep it. They needed, like, if you're giving up on Tui Pelotu, he's going, I told you. What was the guy's name he wanted? He wanted the other
Milton
tackle,
Williams
right?
was really
Aleem
really
McNeil.
good.
He wanted Aleem McNeil.
He wanted, but then Bo, you made the point, I think, at the draft that, well, he got the Aleem McNeil type defensive tackle in the next round into Pelotu.
But there's no way to read like the summer and not as not a ringing endorsement of Milton Williams so far. I would say the Tui Pelotu thing is interesting. He was the biggest surprise to make the roster. He wasn't on any of the predicted ones in the contest. He was bad in the first 2 preseason games, like getting pushed around all over the place. What I'm curious about here is the order of operations, because
PEMDAS.
if they are going to waive Tui Pelotu tomorrow when they make other claims, he's now at a point where by making the initial roster, he's more on other teams' radars because they know that the Eagles thought he was good enough to make the initial roster. So he's more likely to get claimed, I think, if he's waived tomorrow than he would have been if he was waived today. And if they had kept Hassan Ridgeway instead of him, they could have just released him tomorrow and nobody would have, you know, he wouldn't be subject to waivers. This is the same thing they did with Tuhill last year. And so if they lose him now,
wrap it up.
If they lose him now, that's a mistake of reading the market.
Okay. You can, that also can be a standalone episode. I think maybe we can turn these into daily ones. We're not spending any more time on this at the hour.
And then Teron Jackson, I think, flashed at points. He was extremely up and down. I think the fact that they have the long-term defensive end question marks is why they kept him.
Fair.
Linebackers, Eric Wilson, Alex Singleton. Do you know Alex Singleton? What do you think his odds are to lead the NFL in tackles?
2-1.
No.
I would say 65-1.
Oh, give me those odds.
Is that what it is?
Well, it's
this is actually listed
more than that. I think it was plus 6,600.
Oh, okay. What a good bet.
So
I was thinking this, by the way. We talked about the Eagles' odds to win the division. Last episode. No,
chat getting spammed by a porn bot. It looks like.
Oh gosh, how did this happen? I'm linking this to Bo wearing a crown and scepter and saying,
Marissa quick on the block. Nice job,
Marissa. Crushed them. Outstanding.
People missed their booty calls
decree you shall never return.
If you're thinking about betting on the Eagles to win the division, I would suggest instead of doing that, bet on Nick Sirianni to win Coach of the Year. Because I think if they win the division, no, it's not the exact same thing, but if they win the division with this roster, win like 10 games, he's going to be on the short list there, and the odds are much, much, much better for that. Like I think it was like plus 2,000 or something. I'd have to double check that. So something to think about as you, of course, log on to BetMGM.
if you like Sheil's, gambling picks this year on the Athletic Football Show on Fridays, him and Nate Tice will be bringing you lots of fun lines and prop
I did not know that.
Yes. So in addition to listening to Birds with Friends, be sure to download the Athletic Football Show as well.
And I will give one more plug tomorrow on the Athletic are my 32 bold and not so bold predictions, one for each team.
Good column always.
Run every year. A lot of them are not the. It wasn't my best version. I feel like some of them I was struggling a little bit. However, my one
can't always be your best.
Yeah, my one for the Eagles was not the most bold, but I said, I'll give this one away. You still got to subscribe to read the rest. The Eagles will lead the league in sacks. What do you think?
Ooh.
Not like the most spicy, but a little spice, right?
It could happen. Sure.
Yeah.
You know what would be a fun one? Lead the league in turnovers, like this, like the Gannon thing really hits. No pun intended.
Now, would that just be takeaways or turnover margin?
Good question. Yeah, it got to be takeaways because then, I feel like they're going to turn the ball over.
All right. Eric Wilson, Alex Singleton, TJ Edwards, Davion Taylor, Patrick Johnson, Gennard. All these linebackers made it? Wow.
Yes.
Gennard
a little heavy.
Sean Bradley? Why do they need all these linebackers for?
So I think at least two of these guys will go on IR this week. I would imagine Davion Taylor goes on IR. And then there's a chance
maybe Avery. Yeah.
Gennard Avery has 2 groin injuries. So
never good.
Both groins are injured. So
how do I get one of these other groins?
Well. Yeah, I don't know. You do. Yeah, you do have 2 groins. You got to do that butterfly stretch every day.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
It's a good one with your kids. Kids can do that butterfly stretch like nobody else. I mean, they put the grown-ups to shame with that bad boy. All right.
Yeah, so there's a little heavy at linebacker. There was some talk that they might be interested in trading one of these guys. But given the weaknesses elsewhere, it sort of makes sense, especially as Zach said, they just need guys who are going to play once those other guys go on IR.
Okay. Cornerback.
Jacoby Sleep is the only draft pick not to make the team.
Oh,
yeah, correct.
There you go. Darius Slay, Steve Nelson, Avonte Maddox, Zach McPherson, Josiah Scott. So what's that, 5?
5.
Yes, 5.
Okay.
Both Bo and I predicted this, so I'm happy I'm consistent with Bo on this one. The minor surprise here, if you'll call it that, is Josiah Scott over Craig James. But I think in Craig James's case, this would have been the second consecutive year he would make it with an injury, right?
Yeah.
So
give me club in the tub 2 years in a row. What are we doing?
That's a health thing. I like the way Josiah Scott's played. And I think he's a good
turned
backup.
It up. He's turned it up of late.
Yeah, I think he's a good backup for Maddox in the slot. And potentially, look, if you're thinking about the roster beyond this season, if Maddox leaves in free agency, maybe Josiah Scott's ready to step in to be your slot corner next year. So certainly something to watch. But and
hard to imagine they were going to cut him after trading a pick for him a couple months ago, a late round pick as it was.
Sure.
Who's my outside corner if Slayer Nelson gets injured?
It's McPherson, which I think they're going to add somebody here.
Okay.
I think the positions to watch for them to add are D tackle, wide receiver, running back, and defensive back.
Yeah, I agree.
Those 4 spots.
Bo, someone was mentioning you just forget about Sua Opeta that quickly, huh? I mean, no mention.
I still love
Sua.
I still love Sua.
My gosh, to be one of your exes, unbelievable.
I still love Sua.
Didn't mean nothing.
I think he can. I think he's a good player. But there's less upside. He's 3 years older than Awashika, and he did decline a little bit over the course of camp. He came out firing, and he did not have a good game on Friday night in the preseason finale. I think he'll be back on the practice squad if he doesn't get claimed.
John says the Texans traded a 6th last week for a cornerback and cut him today. Is that true? Who was the cornerback? I missed that. I can't keep up with the Texans. I know nothing about, as I'm trying to do this Texans prediction, I'm like, dude, I've just ignored.
You could tell me anything about their roster.
I just made an Easterby joke and moved on to the next section.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way to do
really
it.
been my MO all off season.
I mean, they got some intriguing.
There's nothing
guys,
interesting.
What do you mean?
Interesting. They have 5 veteran running backs for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, they signed Desmond King.
I'm intrigued by Nico Collins.
Okay,
that was a ridiculous trade up. Unbelievable. Yeah. They traded up for Nico Collins. They had
Nico Collins is now if you were a big Donovan People-Jones guy 1 year ago, then you should be like an even bigger Nico Collins guy.
I think
Well,
I
he wasn't
liked
as
it.
good. He didn't test as well as Peoples-Jones.
True.
Yeah, I think I had a nice Peoples-Jones endorsement on one of
you
our
did.
wide
Yeah,
receiver
You
things,
did.
didn't
It would
I?
actually be
Good
fun
Yeah.
for
Marissa?
a slow
What do we
episode
think?
to read.
1,000 yards.
reread
Donovan
that.
Peoples-Jones this year.
I think Zach Jackson's been talking about how he's had a great camp.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
yeah.
Here we go.
By the way, I do think it's worth pointing out Marissa and Sheil, they're like the taxi squad players in high school where, like they spend time with us on the JV team on Fridays, but then they get promoted to varsity.
Yeah,
Right.
they're slumming it with us right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah,
So they go to the NFL football show and they're like, "Can you believe those other guys? They're talking about backup offensive linemen." Yeah. So,
I have the best time with you guys.
thank you.
Safeties. Someone made the point. Rasul Douglas is out there. This is a scheme. Rasul Douglas as my
I don't
fourth
know.
corner.
I mean, he's got cut by so many teams.
That's fine. Yeah. You're playing zone coverage, eyes on the quarterback.
You want to bring him into the
tackle,
practice
and be a
squad?
good
That's fine.
teammate. He's fine.
No, bring him into the practice squad. That's fine.
So
I always liked the Rasul Douglas.
Me too.
So safeties.
Safeties.
The thing that jumps out with safety here is obviously Rodney McLeod's back. So he does not start the season on PUP. Whether he plays whether he plays Sunday or not, we will see. But he said all along this offseason he thinks he'll be back week 1. So him being there, then they go 4 safeties, a little light considering that McLeod and Wallace have both been injured, right? So you really have to you're going to have to either call someone up from practice squad on game day or you're going to need those guys out there. Andrew Adams did not make it. Bo was correct on that one. Now, perhaps he's someone that they add a little later on and he plays this weekend.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's back. And I think my guy Elijah Riley will be back on the practice squad if he makes it through. He got dinged up. He didn't even play in the preseason finale.
Are gone. Opeta, Awashika, and Riley.
Yeah. You gotta make tough. You gotta make tough decisions as a king. You gotta do what's best.
You're not
for the
like
kingdom.
like a team guy. You're so happy you can't hide your joy. You're so happy at your individual achievement when all these people what do the kids say stand for?
How else am I going to be able to?
Stand.
How else am I going to be able to help all my children? Coyote, DeAndre Carter, Sua Opeta, Elijah Riley. How can I help them if I don't get power first?
Sorry, is Rodney McLeod going to be on the field for week 1? Sorry, did you?
I think so. I think as light as the numbers are here, it's an indication that he's going to be ready soon.
Okay. All right. Zach, do you agree with that?
I do.
Okay.
Physically, I don't know if he'll be ready or not, but I don't think he's the kind of player who needs to have like 3 weeks in this defense in practice. I think he's ready to step in as long as physically he's able to do so.
Okay. An hour 33 in. Unbelievable. Now, the song was about a half an hour, so I don't think I can be.
I think the running time was 3:30.
Yeah.
And my technical difficulties didn't help. I apologize there.
Okay.
And now we're doing super storecasting?
No. I had some notes that I will save for the next episode.
Oh.
How did everything go last week, by the way? If we're allowed to ask.
Well, it was a very interesting. I mean, boy, you're really out there for these. Wait, what are you talking about last week? The butt shot?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. Then you looked confused when I started to get into it.
No. I was
curious. They
I want to make sure you're okay.
They put a little numbing, the first needle's a little boom.
Yep.
You got to be tough about it. Does it hurt? Well, yeah, it hurts, but like I'm okay. Like, then I didn't even notice when the second needle went in because it's like, I thought it was just one and it was just in there, but the second needle went in, and so we'll see how it goes. Got to test it for the next month. See how the IT band feels. See how the glute feels, the hip. Go from there. Thank you for asking. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other questions? I mean, I'm an open book here.
Yeah. How did you tweeted that you started to feel what some humans call emotions when you had the kids dropped off?
I was just going to ask this.
At school on Monday.
Strange.
How was it?
This is what happens.
What did you feel? Give us a little.
Just things, feelings. Yeah. Very odd. A little nostalgia.
Did it go well?
Yeah, it's good. It's gone great. I do a little walk every afternoon, pick her up from the half-day kindergarten. Gets me out of the house, a nice 20 minutes, fresh air, good for the mental health. Have a good chat on the way home. It's
Nice.
good.
And are they enjoying it so far?
Yeah, the public school system is paying for my childcare now. That's always where you want to get to.
You can finally afford a scepter.
You get a raise. Yeah, it's like you get a raise. So everyone's doing good. It's good. The kids are, they're so excited to be back in school, interacting with other kids. Obviously, they've missed that for a long time. So let's keep them in there,
Well said.
safely. Let's keep them in there safely. And thank you to the teachers, of course, for making sure they have a good time every day.
Big day here. Jane has been so close, and today finally started making her forward crawls. She was going all over the place.
Nice.
Took the big step today. So there you go.
The Birds with Friends babies are all growing up.
We're all growing up.
No, don't make Sheil cry.
We're going to force Sheil to watch Coco and mock him while he cries. Coco, I would say, is that's
definitely.
like the best. Wait, Coco is the one with the
Night of the Dead, or the
you don't get the guy playing the guitar.
Yeah.
I thought that's like the best kids movie I've seen. I think
I don't disagree
the one
with you.
that's
It's
kept
so
my
good.
attention the most of any kids movie, I would say, of like the last 8 years or whatever.
It's real. I don't disagree.
Outstanding.
I'm still waiting for you to see Coda.
And also,
full recommendation for everybody to see Coda as a little date night at home with your significant other.
Date night at home. What is that? It's the City of God. I don't know. Harassment might be too strong of a word. I made the agreement that I will watch the City of God if I never have to hear about this movie again, regardless of what my review is. So if everyone can agree to those terms, then I will watch it before week 1.
Okay.
Deal?
Yeah.
That's it. All right.
So real
Subscribe
quick,
to the channel.
Zach, set us up. So we will be talking to the coordinators this week. We'll be talking to a few players. We'll be at practice the next few days. Then the Eagles are off this weekend. You can enjoy your Labor Day weekend. You can watch Georgia Clemson. Do whatever you need to do there. And then next week is a game week. So we have a lot of really good, exciting content coming up. I'm excited to bring that out for everybody. And we'll be back on our podcast schedule next week leading up to the Falcons game.
If you have any strong feelings about whether you would like the second pod to be recorded as on a Thursday evening, a Thursday late night, maybe like a post-game pod for Thursday Night Football, or a Friday. Listen, we're not committing to anything just because you want it. But if you have strong feelings about it, let Bo know. Hashtag BWF Bo Spot.
BWF Booty Call.
BWF Booty Call. All right, Bo, you want to close us out?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not that emotional where I'm gonna connect.
Well, for everybody, thanks for listening. Make sure you download, delete, subscribe, evangelize, subscribe to the channel on YouTube so you get notified when we've got a live broadcast coming. Follow everybody on Twitter. Tell your family and friends about Michael Dunn. Go buy a jersey. And as always, to all the loyal subjects of the realm, thanks for listening. And as always, we love you.